And Derek Burney was closely involved in the original NAFTA talks as Prime Minister Mulroney's Chief of Staff, and he also served as Canadian Ambassador to the United States, and he joins me in the studio. Welcome to the show. This latest development, I got to ask you, is sort of abandoning the auto content demand, is that just a Trump teaser, or is he setting us up for more demands and disappointments in your view?
Well, we only know what we know. What our ambassador has said about what took place in the last couple of weeks. You know, I think it's encouraging. It suggests that the Americans have moved off one of their more outrageous positions on auto content to something a little more pragmatic and a little more rational for them as well as for us. And if it's true that that's creating some momentum, which could lead to an agreement in principle in a matter of time, that's certainly better than the 5 months of tweeting that we've gone through on this negotiation. So I'm encouraged by it, Don. I believe what the ambassador is saying. He's saying it's the most positive discussion they've had in a number of months. But it's only one that makes sense for them as well as for us, because their own industry wasn't endorsing the position they were taking on auto content because they couldn't make it work.
Exactly. Well, you've known Lighthizer since back in the original NAFTA days, and I always think it's kind of interesting with Trump. He puts something on the table that wasn't there, and then takes it off and thinks I should be rewarded for taking off something that was never there to begin with. So they must want something out of this.
Well, it's a game of tactics and optics. I mean, I think one of the things we should think of doing is changing the name, because he's polluted the name NAFTA to the point where any resurrection of NAFTA is going to have difficulty getting support. So maybe we should change the name. Maybe that's what he wants. Actually. Well, maybe that's what he wants. But you're right. Everything from the administration is tactical as opposed to objective, which is why it's so difficult to negotiate with them. So I don't envy our team. I don't envy the minister, but she does seem to have scored some points in the last go-around with Ambassador Lighthizer. Look, we know the Mexicans want an agreement very badly before they have their election. Even though it's not a divisive issue in their election, they would like to remove the uncertainty.
Exactly. As
would we. But, you know, the Americans, I think, might be feeling a little time pressure too, because there's not much working on the trade front for them. So a dose of civility and stability can only help.
What I'm getting at, though, is that if we're going to say, okay, the auto content goes back to the way it was before, does the U.S. going to say supply management? Because they're suddenly demonizing agriculture in a big way. The president and committees today, they were saying Canada's getting away with murder on agriculture issues. It sounds to me like they want us to throw the supply management idea under the bus.
The problem from day one, Don, has been that all of their demands are one-sided. It's something for them without them giving anything in return. You can't negotiate that way. So supply management, I mean, Canada's already made minimal moves in the agreement with the Europeans. I assume we could do something similar in NAFTA, but what are we going to get in return? I'm not going to give up anything I've got if I get nothing in return. That's not a negotiation, that's an ultimatum. And you should never accept an ultimatum. They want to get rid of dispute settlement. Look, they're coming after us today on softwood lumber, on newsprint, on steel and aluminum. We've given a temporary reprieve on that, provided we're good boys on NAFTA. That is a non-starter. The ministers are right to say those are two separate issues. We are not negotiating here in order to give you something there, and we don't expect you to give us something here if we do something for you there. It's not the way you do it. So, you know, I think we have to wait and see. We have to wait and see whether this will generate some momentum to resolve some of the other sticky issues by America. I haven't heard much on that front recently. Right. Dispute settlement, supply management. But those are all issues in which the Americans have taken a one-sided position, expecting the other two parties to cave. I hope Canada will not cave. We should not cave.
And the bottom line, though, one guy has to be able to say, I scored a win. That's Donald Trump. I don't know what a win looks like to him.
Well, a win for him would be anything that changes what is in NAFTA today. He could perceive, we know how flexible he is with vocabulary. So anything that he does to change NAFTA could be portrayed as a win. What he has not yet shown any acceptance for is that it has to be a win for the other guy too. This is not a real estate deal, okay?
Right.
This is a little more than that.
Right.
But, you know, he's the wild card. He's been the wild card. The situation, I mean, it's a good thing Washington is in a snowstorm today because we're not hearing very much, so there's a little less chaos. Maybe they should have a snowstorm for a week.
I don't know.
Maybe they should have a snowstorm for a week like Canadians are used to, and that would calm things down for a while.
I don't wish snow anymore to anybody. This second day of spring. I guess the quote Monty Python, NAFTA's not dead yet. Is that what we're saying here?
I think NAFTA's not dead, and I have to assume, Don, I've always assumed that there are rational Americans in Congress, even some in the administration, and certainly many in the business community that understand the inherent value of NAFTA to them. This is not a gift that they gave to Canada and Mexico. We all contributed to it. And I think there are a good number of Americans who understand and appreciate that.
Nice to have the voice of experience. Thank you, Derek Burney.
Good to see you.